When I was a child, my family moved around a lot, so we moved from address to address to address. One of my earliest memories of school time is actually being worried when going home from school. My family would have actually moved by the time I actually got home. So that made me really drive myself forward to wanting my own property at my first available opportunity. I didn't realise you had to be 18 to get a mortgage or a loan, so I applied to the Midland Bank in Barnet for an interview with the bank manager to organise my first mortgage. At the time I was working as a grass picker on a golf course in a place called Arkley, and my income was £27 a week. And I actually remember the bank manager, when I told him what my goal was, actually physically laughing at me. So on my 18th birthday, I went to an estate agent in Barnet called Astor & Co, and I put down a reservation fee on a new build of £100 in East Barnet. And then it took about 9 months for me to put the mortgage application in, fulfill all the criteria that the mortgage company wanted, and then 9 months later I can remember to this day how excited I was going to the estate agent and picking up my first set of keys to my first property. But what I realised, without really knowing that this would happen, is property prices from '84 started to recover quite dramatically. So in a very short period of time, the equity growth in my property was equal really to my year's salary of being a postman. And I thought to myself, wow, why not be a postman and build a property portfolio alongside? Back in the 80s, there wasn't anything like a buy-to-let mortgage. You had two opportunities. You had a residential mortgage or you had a commercial mortgage. And I had to find someone who'd actually physically help me get those mortgages. Again, through another friend, he introduced me to his mortgage broker who got him his first mortgage. And I went and had an interview with him, explained what I was hoping to do, buy more than one property and build an equity portfolio, if you like. And he assisted me with buying my second and my third property. Having had no education in the property market, not really knowing what I was doing, nobody had explained to me that I actually could rent the properties out. What the mortgage company had said to me was if I rented the properties out, I would have to increase my interest payment. And back in the 80s, interest, unlike now, was quite significant. So by increasing your interest rate, you were putting yourself in a position where it was very difficult to cover the mortgage. So I actually got 3 jobs. So I had 3 properties and I got 3 jobs with each salary, if you like, paying the mortgage on each one of those properties. In the early 90s, there were no lenders in the market. Interest rates hit 19.6% on Black Wednesday. I had a loan with Barclays Bank, which was what's called a bridging loan, and they put us onto a mezzanine finance rate of 27% per annum. At that point, some mornings you woke up and you just thought, I don't want to go out there. You just didn't want to leave the front door, but you had to. You went out and you did what you had to do to get through it. I would never wish the experience on anybody else, because anybody who was involved in the early 90s will tell you how difficult it was to even survive in this country, let alone run a property portfolio. So having gone through the experience was the real benefit for me, and that was the turning point. It made me realise that what I was doing was building a portfolio in the wrong way, so I had to move forward in the right way, and that was understanding my true market, understanding my genuine rental demand, and understanding whether I could achieve more money, significantly more money in rent than my mortgage payment. And that really was, without that experience, I probably would have given up. People join Property Mentor, what they're learning is my history, if you like, how I went from having a portfolio that was in one area, had good value but had negative cash flow, and in the early 90s negative equity, to understanding how I turned that portfolio around. So what I'm teaching people is that they are not to follow the mistakes that I made in my early years of a property investor, but are to follow what I learned from that going forward. And as I started teaching people, I started to realise that most people just want to sign here. Very few people want to do all the hard work of a day-to-day property investor. You know, when I first started, there was no internet to speak of. There was certainly no online estate agents. Everything was about work, 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 work. And obviously, if you've got a job, you've got a family, you've maybe got a business to run, trying to do all of that work on the side, as well as your life, is just about impossible. So what I looked at was, how could I make my system easier for people to follow? So since 2004, so over the last 9-10 years, I've been developing a software program which enables people to follow my system where they don't have to do very much work at all. And throughout those 9 years, it's gone from being a very simple spreadsheet to being a very, very sophisticated piece of software now. We're hoping to launch it very, very shortly as what we're going to call the Property Investment Wizard. So basically what it will do then is it will work in the cloud for you. You will program it very simply yourself for it to go out to work on your behalf. And each day it will bring back its results. So the only job that you've got to physically do is go and look at whether the property really exists or not. It's all about your guts, your determination to get through the hard times, because we all have hard times when we first start any business, and you've got to be confident about your own abilities, and you've got to be happy that you're going to put yourself at risk, and you are going to put yourself at risk because you're going to take those mortgages on. But with a rising market and with a very heavy rental demand, which is what we're seeing at the moment, buying properties in the right area for the right amount of money is very, very possible by following our system. Then when you've done that, sitting the market out over the next 10 years, I'd expect your property portfolio to rise to a significant position where you could exit either by refinancing or exit by selling, or maybe you'll have built a big enough portfolio where your income gives you that dream.